how much was in there reportedly?
Yeah, so reportedly at one point the fund was worth £10 billion. Yeah, that's how much money he was managing.
That's
yeah
phenomenal.
Yeah, it was huge. So I mean, this is no small feat. This is huge. This is definitely, like, if you're interested, if you're thinking about investing, which, it's good to invest, this is something to kind of keep an eye on because it was huge.
Hi everyone, welcome back to an episode of BizKey Podcast with your hosts Chiko and Debbie. Well, today we'll be talking about some latest news in the investing world. So Debbie?
Yeah, so there's actually been an update to, I think they call it the UK's most high-profile investment manager fund. And essentially what an investment management fund is, I believe, you can have a company or you can have a team of people who have demonstrated that they're quite successful at investing in the stock market, investing in various funds, etc. And they have a high track record. So what happens is people then give them their money and say, oh, please invest my money for me. So I think you have institutions that do this, such like your Goldman Sachs, etc. But there's also people that can have like private companies set up to do this. And we've spoken about investments quite a few times on this show. And, like we always say, only invest what you're willing to risk, what you're willing to lose.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately, people sort of get twinkly eyed and sort of think, oh, I'm going to be, I'm going to be rich. So there's this guy called Mr. Woodford, who was this sort of trailblazing investor. And I think he was just sort of smashing it, so to speak, really killing it when it comes to investors. I think they have like lists that they publish in terms of like the top investors, and he was sort of in that list. So he decided to launch his own investment management firm, with some associates, and a lot of people, gave him money to invest. So it wasn't just individuals, it was also institutions, it was also pension funds. I mean, people just thought, oh, if we give him money, we're going to guarantee results, which you never can, say. Unfortunately, in 2019, it seemed as though, this fund sort of came crashing down. In terms of why it came crashing down, this is still open to speculation. We don't really seem to know concretely what happened, but it seems as though people started to, get suspicious or be a bit nervous, maybe is the better term, with regards to what Mr. Woodford was actually investing in. And maybe he wasn't quite hitting the returns that he promised. So in 2019, lots of investors started to pull out their money because they said, oh, this is a bit risky.
Sorry, just to interject. What was the, how much was in there reportedly?
Yeah, so reportedly at one point, the fund was worth £10 billion. Yeah. That's how much money he was managing.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, it was huge. So, I mean, this is no small feat. This is huge. This is definitely, like, if you're interested, if you're thinking about investing, which, it's good to invest. This is something to kind of keep an eye on because it was huge.
I get the impression, so the guy was effectively like the UK version of Warren Buffett. So Warren Buffett's like an American investor, so he's very famous for investing. And normally he's kind of that type of person that whenever he wants to invest in something, then lots of people will suddenly invest. So let's say, for example, he wants to invest in Coca-Cola. Suddenly the share price for Coca-Cola will suddenly skyrocket just because he's made so much money in investing. So a lot of people get this kind of impression that, whatever touches turn to gold. So they tend to just copy him. So whatever he does, just copy him. Well, if it works for him, it will work for me, effectively. Right. So effectively, it sounds like this guy was basically the UK version of Warren Buffett,
Yeah, and I remember because this story has been going around for a while, and I remember hearing some people who were pensioners and they had put all their life savings into the fund because they thought,
into this fund?
Yes, into this fund.
Oh, no, not
again. Yes, because they thought,
no.
this will, enable me to have a cushy retirement. I can buy my luxury car and go on my cruises and have a good holiday or whatnot. Yeah, because I remember when this story first came out, it was quite huge. So lots of people put their life savings in there. And unfortunately. So what happened was, again, we don't quite know what was happening. Usually in these cases, it's poor management or management doing something a bit dodgy, but that's allegedly because we don't actually know exactly what happened. But what happened was in 2019, over the span of 4 weeks, many investors started pulling out. So this was in June 2019. It's reported that people tried to pull out £500 million worth of cash from the fund. And you can imagine a lot of the fund probably wasn't liquid. A lot of the fund was probably in investments, which, might have not been doing well. So it essentially caused the fund to sort of collapse, as it were. And the Financial Conduct Authority.
So why would that be?
Because they wouldn't have had enough money to support. So
No, I mean in terms of why is it that when people started pulling out 500 million, why did the fund collapse?
A lot of we don't know exactly, But a lot of the times, if I just speak broadly in broad investor terms, when people start to see other investors pulling out, they sort of think, ooh, they must know something I don't. I don't want to be the one sort of left with my money still in the investment. Let me pull mine out.
Right,
and then it becomes a ripple effect. Yeah. And everyone
like
tries
like the
Titanic. Everyone tries to pull their money out. So what then happened was the Financial Conduct Authority, who is like the regulator of financial institutions and financial products in the UK, they actually halted the fund. So they actually froze the fund's assets, which meant that no one else could take their money. Everyone's money essentially was just in limbo. Because essentially, if more people would have continued to request money out, which the fund just didn't have to give, everything would have just collapsed. So this happened in 2019, and since then there's been an investigation, there's been court cases, but they still haven't gotten down to the bottom of what went wrong, which is quite surprising. But the recent news that came out, the reason why we're talking about this today, is that some people on the committee, some of the investors agreed this week for a compensation package that they will receive from the fund. And some people aren't happy though. Some people felt that they should wait and try to get more money. But essentially what they've agreed is that if you have invested in a fund, you're going to get 77p for every £1 that you invested.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Some people were happy with it. It won the majority, but some people say no, it's a larger. So some people, their argument is that it's not just the money we invested. It's these last 5 years of uncertainty of what it's cost them to not have access to their funds,
So
etc.
Where are they getting that from? Who's paying for that, sorry?
Hold on. No idea.
Oh, the ACFs.
I'm not sure, I was just thinking that. Is it coming from?
No,
Yeah, I think it's a scheme. Yeah, I think it's a scheme, yeah.
Some kind of scheme.
Yeah, through some kind of scheme, they're going to be able, through some kind of scheme with the government and the FCA, they're going to be able to receive this compensation for this fund that fell.
Interesting. And is that capped, or is that like?
Yeah, so I think it will total 230 million is what they said. So I guess.
Oh, so it's capped at 230 million.
Yeah, 230 million. Yeah, so that's going to be the total
out of 10 billion.
Yeah, that will be the total. Yeah, so people won't receive the exact amount of money that they invested back, but they will receive some of it back, which is better than nothing. And majority of the investors agree to this package, and the judge has also approved this package as well. So this is what the investors will get. So it's what are your initial thoughts?
I'm so surprised again. It's like, people invest in the entire pensions and life savings into it. I mean, it's as if like it's an interesting concept. It's as if like I get the sense that these people are quite like, or some of these people might be like risk averse, because they are it's their pensions, and like that tends to be quite safe.
They have some savings, right?
Yeah. So that's what it seems like. But then they're taking like the biggest risk. So it's like, But I think they thought that they were taking a safe.
Yes, exactly.
They thought it was safe.
Exactly right. Yeah, like you mentioned Warren Buffett. I mean, he's been sort of on top of the investment sort of pyramid, if you like. Well, that's the wrong term. He's been on top of his game in terms of investing for generations.
Yeah.
So people, like you said, people trust it.
Yeah.
So they thought it was a sure thing. And mind you, this guy had a track record and a reputation of being. It wasn't just people; it was pension funds as well. So a lot of people put their trust in this guy's fund. So. But yeah, I get what you mean in a sense that if you've been very risk averse, you've been, saving your money little by little, why would you now then put everything? But
I think now it makes sense if I think of it from a perspective of they thought it was safe.
Right.
It's kind of like putting your money in a savings account or something with the bank.
Yeah.
You just this. Oh yeah, that's safe. It's a savings account.
Guys, an investment is not a savings account. It's definitely not safe. And I think we've touched upon this in our previous podcast episode, which is diversification is key. Because if they had just bought a portion, I think, yes, they would have still been affected, but
not as much.
And they would have had 5 years, which wouldn't have had. And obviously this happened just before the pandemic. So you can imagine how painful it was for them. Everyone had uncertainty. A lot of people lost their job. People were furloughed. Now all your money that you could have had to sort of tide you over is caught up. It's frozen. So yeah, I'm happy that they got some compensation anyway.
Yeah. No, as you said, something's better than nothing. So at least they got something. But again, it just highlights the pitfalls again. So what has been? Have you heard any like commentary, or what's people been saying about the?
Yeah, so the main thing I've been hearing is that some of the investors are very happy, they're very pleased, but some are not. They feel that they should have waited to see if they could get more compensation from the scheme. But yeah, I think just in general, this is just a huge scandal, and I think going forward, I think people probably call for like tighter regulations. I think that's usually the result. When there's some sort of big scandal like this, usually the result is tighter regulation in the sector, which might make it more difficult for people to invest, but will more likely keep people safer. And I think just maybe the encouragement of more education. I don't think people should just be able to just put all their life savings without understanding the risks. You know, so I think, that will probably be the result, is just, more regulation, you know, tightening up the rules so that this doesn't happen again.
Yeah. And really emphasizing the fact that, you could win money, but you can gain money, but you can also lose money. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah. And maybe even speaking about the percentage of people that lose, just to really sort of highlight that, you know, this isn't a quick win. I mean, it can be. And that's the thing. I think the people that talk about the quick wins, they tend to be the loudest voices. It's like cryptocurrency investing. I know some people have been really successful at it. And as a result, they've really sort of shouted it from the rooftop. Right. So everybody else thought, or a lot of people then thought, oh, that could be me too, without really understanding the market. So it's just a business key, just a lesson there, just to kind of try to understand what you're putting your money into. And if you really don't understand it, maybe just don't invest, or put in a small amount that you'd be willing to lose, because it's just not worth that anxiety of knowing that your whole life savings is gone, basically.
Absolutely.